previously on Ballz.
Tell Jordan this is how we do it, baby. You got any musical talents, David?
No.
None whatsoever.
Zilch.
Speaking of Z Factor here on Ballz soon, and we found that some of our sports guys have got some really good musical talents. Like Joe Peterson, apparently he's like proficient on the guitar. And we know Talks van Linde sings a lot of good opera and blah, blah, blah. So there's quite a few of them. Guy Kebbell used to be a ballet or can do ballet. He used to train doing ballet.
Fair enough. He was in the forwards, wasn't
The front row forward, yeah, massive guy. There's something
definitely. Did he wear a tutu as well?
Oh, that's why we're starting Z Factor, just so we can experience things like that. Any wallabies that you played with that had any particular talents?
Yeah, Andrew Slack was great on the guitar back in the early 80s. Very good poker players.
There's a name to remember, Andrew Slack. Wow, good poker players. Yeah, who isn't? Welcome to the...
I think now they're all very good gamblers on horses and all that sort of thing because they've got so much spare time and so much cash. Yeah. They've got to do something with their money. So I think there's a few gamblers running around.
I'm sure there are one or two. Nice to have you on the flush out again, David. Let's go straight up front, see which lovely bottle of South African or Australian wine you are enjoying today.
We have a bottle called Lewin Estate.
Lewin Estate.
From Margaret River.
Okay. Where? Margaret River. Where is that?
Perth. That's the great vineyards of where the great surfers as well. Margaret River.
Oh, really? Okay. Lewin Estate. That's a very Dutch name.
And it's 1998. It's a Cab Merlot.
Oof.
It's a good year for South African rugby.
I wasn't around. I was around then, yeah. I wasn't playing, so who cares?
All right, let's get into the flush out today once again. Well done. First of all, round of applause for David. Last week, David, no one got more than 4 out of the 7 games correct on their predictions. You got 6 out of 7.
There we go. I do know a bit about rugby.
That's why we have you here every week as opposed to anybody else. And you and I are the only two, and Irene Null from Irene Sports Highs and Lows every Friday, who predicted the Sharks game. What was everyone's... I mean, obviously the Cheetahs are a bogey team, but the Sharks have got a sniff. That generally tends to be make them very dangerous at this time of the season.
Yeah, look, Darren, I think if you really look at the sides, I mean, the Sharks have got a lot of talent there, but they really haven't played great rugby this year, and they're still winning. I think the problem with the Cheetahs is they've lost players, and they started off really well, but they've lost a bit of confidence, and they're just trying to do things, and they're just making little silly mistakes, which costs them a lot. Now, watching the game on Saturday, watching Fred Michalak, I think he's around, 34, 35.
28, 29.
28, is that all? 29.
Yeah.
Put the bomb up, and not one of the Cheetahs players were back there. The ball bounces, and he scores a try. Like, that is suicidal. When we were told, when we played, never, ever let the ball bounce. And just things like that just put the Cheetahs back on the back foot, and they never really recovered from that sort of, on that mistake in a game. Like, it was a crucial game as well for them.
Yeah. Just remember one thing about the French, I think they put their players out to pasture so much quicker than other countries that you'll think a guy's in his mid-30s and he's still 26 or 27 and he hasn't played for 4 years.
Yeah, but again, he was a great player.
Yeah.
And I think the problem was that I thought when he was playing for the Sharks is that he's got that flair, and the problem with the flair is the other guys don't understand what he's doing.
Yeah.
So when he does something, everyone else is back ready for the next phase, and that's the problem when you've got someone who's so quick and you can see he's got the vision, and he'll have a go.
All right, let's move away from the Sharks. I mean, dude, where they are now, they've obviously got the points. They're getting closer and closer. They're in the top 6. They've got a bit of a gap between them and the sides below them. Do you change your thoughts as far as how far they might go in this competition?
Oh, look, I think that's, I'm looking at the log now. The Sharks are 6th. They've got, obviously, the Stormers this weekend, which is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, that's going to be the key game, I think.
Again, the Stormers are very negative, aren't they, the way they play. There was an article in the Australian paper last week about how the Stormers are probably the most boring rugby team running around. And the funny thing is they're still winning.
Yeah.
So people say, well, they are boring. You've got to entertain. You can hear the crowd on Saturday night as well. When I played New South Wales, the crowd was getting very restless because there was a lot of kicking. No one was game to try and think in case they made a mistake. And that's really the wrong kind of rugby you've got to play, because You've got a month off coming up. You want to go out there, throw caution to win, see how good you are, because when you get to the semis and that, you're going to have to try and get a try from somewhere, and you need to know that you can do it.
Yeah.
So this week's going to be a very, very tough game. It could be very interesting. But the Sharks, again, they're at home. Pat Lambie, do they throw Lambie in, leave Michalak there, change the whole back line? I don't know. I mean, I'd hate to be the coach to try and fit everyone on, because I think Michalak proved that he's still a great player.
Yeah. All right. It's an interesting one, because the Sharks like to obviously run the ball around, score some tries. The Stormers have been weird, because they get out of the blocks quickly first half, and this has happened a couple of weeks now, and then they suddenly just dry up in the second half. It can't be a fitness issue. What do you put it down to?
I don't know. I think it's if you look at their coaches, they've got Fleck as well, who's a great player when he played. Robbie played, he was a flair player, but yet there's no flair in their back line. John DeVilliers is not going to pass the ball when he gets it. So if you're the opposition, you can actually just. But you know what I mean. If you watch, he doesn't really pass that often. He's got a great outside centre, who'd probably be in the Springbok team. They should just move the ball wide and back themselves and support. But again, Darren, we don't know what the tactics are. We don't know what the coaches are saying, what to do. So we can only just have a look and say, well, why don't they try things? You got Brian O'Bunner, the poor guy's trying very hard, but he's just. I don't think he'll be in the Springbok team coming up. I think he's struggling a lot, because he just hasn't got. He hasn't really made a lot of impact on the game recently.
Well, he hasn't got much ball. I mean, and that kind of you almost seem to notice that this weekend. I think when he did get the ball once, because he's so starved of possession sometimes, that when he does get the ball, he's trying too much. He's trying too hard to actually make something happen, because he doesn't get that many opportunities, or as many as he should.
Well, Darren, I must say, when I played, it was the same. I mean, if you play the risks and try things, the more ball you get. If you make a mistake, no one worries. But if you get the ball once and make a mistake, the whole world knows. So it is very frustrating. But again, the game plans these days are not to create or stop an opposition. They just pass the ball sideways and push him into the touch. So by the time the winger's got the ball, he's got 4 guys on him. I don't think I've seen one-on-one winger this year.
What was the game everyone got wrong this weekend? Was it the Hurricanes Brumbies result? Which one was it?
That was the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I watched that. It was an interesting game. It wasn't but the Hurricanes are like that. They're very good, but they're defensive. They just let themselves down, and they're very ill-disciplined. But again, they've got some great players, and again, they've had that culture for a long time, the Hurricanes. And unfortunately, the Brumbies are still on their winning way. They're still doing well. And Jake White's obviously got some magic potion down there. I don't know what it is, probably some South African wine or something, but it's still working, and they're going well.
I think he was on After You last week, where he was actually quoted in a lot of the media on this radio station saying that Australian teams are pretty weak, or what did he say? I don't want to misquote him now.
He was just saying that the Australian
the weakest conference, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's why we've won 2 World Cups.
Do you agree with that, though?
Yes.
Because it's bizarre, and I see that the Rebels are buying the Higginbottom's going there as well. Yep. So they're clearly now trying to buy up as a very powerful side. We've discussed that at length as to reasons why they need to get something going there to build the interest in rugby union in a rugby league and Aussie rules predominant city. But you would think that the Rebels would have been a lot better with all the players that they've got. But I mean, the Brumbies, if you look at their side, it's not a star-studded side, yet they're dominating that conference.
Yeah, I think the reason I think I've mentioned the reason why the Brumbies are doing well is because there's no real big names in the side, and I think they've always want to prove something. I think Jake White's come in, and I actually had doubts at the start of the season, but what he's done is he's got the team playing as a team.
Yeah. There's
no real superstars. They get out there and they play the game. Look, it is hard in Australia because rugby league and Aussie rules do dominate. There is a lot of, they're the working class. There's a lot of money. Where rugby union, we seem to have forgotten the grassroots, and that's why we have struggled. Now, if you look at the Force on the weekend, I mean, that game wasn't a great game. It was a shocking game. And the reason is the basic skills. I know a lot of the players. I coached a lot of the players there 2 years ago in Sydney, and realistically, they shouldn't be at this level. But unfortunately, because there's no one else in Australia, that's why I think Jake White is right. I mean, they struggle because we haven't got the players, and we've got other sports to contend with. Higginbottom's gone down to Melbourne because there's only a salary cap of so much, and they've just signed Will Genia. They've got Quay Cooper coming up as well, so they've got to find money for these players.
Yeah.
So again, these players, the loyalty's gone down the bag. They won't care about that. And Higginbottom's gone up to a good team. So Melbourne's actually starting to recycle some really good players, and they'll be probably pretty good in about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I said that a few weeks ago that they could be the side that dominates this competition. From a New Zealand point of view, which of the sides there, after looking at this weekend, do you see the sort of on the ascendancy? Because this is about the right time to now start building to that peak, as they say.
Yeah, well, look, I think if you look at the Crusaders on the weekend, unbelievable display, 9 tries. They were unbelievable. Now, that's the Crusaders I like watching because they just go out there. They don't care who they're playing. That's one thing about rugby that when the good teams, and I think if you saw the Leinster-Ulster game as well on Saturday night, the team that is a good team, they don't care what the opposition do. They go out there and play. It's up to the opposition to stop them. And I think if you watch the Crusaders, the way they played, every player played well. They had something to prove. They lost last week to the Rebels, which was a bit of a shock. And I think that's woken them up. And I think sometimes to wake up a sleeping giant like that, it's not great. Going into, I think there's, 2 weeks, and then there's a 4-week break. So it's going to be bizarre to have a month off, no continuity, and then starting all over again. So if you look at the Chiefs and the Crusaders at the moment, I think they're the 2 dangerous sides you've really got to watch. But the Crusaders, again, they're used to that competition when it gets to the semis. They know what sort of rugby they have to play, and they've got the stars to keep on going. Yeah,
the Rebels haven't done some other sides a favour, as you say, give them a little, as we call it, a opwakker klap last time out, and it's other teams might bear the brunt of that, as David says. Let's get your predictions very quickly then on the games coming up this weekend. There's one massive game, but let's start from the top, Mr. Hill.
Chiefs Bulls.
I'll have to go for the Bulls.
The Bulls.
Oh, actually, hold it. Sorry,
in Hamilton.
Bulls. No, I think the Bulls struggled against the Highlanders. The game plan was wrong. So I think that the Chiefs, who lost as well, I think they're going to, who lost against the Reds 2 weeks ago, I think they're up for a big game as well. I think they want to prove because the Crusaders are right behind them.
Were you struggled to see the Bulls? Were you surprised to see the Bulls doing so badly last week?
Yeah, look, I think that, when you're away and you win a couple of games, you get into that false sense of security that you just got to turn up and play, and you can see that. They didn't really play a lot of rugby, did they? The Highlanders did all the work, but the Bulls just really, until they had to score, and they made a few mistakes. So, it was disappointing from the South African point of view because they were playing great rugby, but again, it would have been a good record to come away with as well, to win all games away. But I think the Chiefs at home, I think they've got something to prove as well.
All right.
Hurricanes Rebels in Wellington.
The Hurricanes.
The Blues Highlanders in Auckland.
I'll go for the Highlanders.
The Brumbies Reds in Canberra.
Ooh. Well, Hopper, I think the flanker got knocked out on the weekend, so they're not sure if he's going to play. I think if he doesn't play, I think I'll have to go for the Reds. Ooh. But again, I think that's going to be a close game. I reckon the Reds by 3.
That's the game I think Jack's targeting, to put the Reds away, sew up that conference, and start focusing on the playoffs. So you say that's
Reds. Right. If he doesn't, that's I suppose as I said, it's good to lose a game, still knowing that you got some points up your sleeve. So, but again, you don't really want to lose at home because it's one of those things when you get to the semis that teams know that you can get beaten when you get at semi-final time.
Force Lions.
The Force Lions. Jeez, that's going to be an interesting game. I wonder how many people are going to watch that. Let me see. I wonder if they're going to have superheroes out there again for ball boys.
Did they have superheroes out for ball boys?
Did you see it?
No.
Ball boys are superheroes.
Oh, brilliant. What a good idea.
Well, the Lions don't have any.
Maybe they get a few guys out there in tutus. That might help someone along. I think the Lions, because I think the Force are a mess. The Lions are a mess, but I think coming home, I think Mitchell will get them going. I think that he was there as well. He's been there before, so I reckon the Lions by 5.
Where's that game?
It's in Perth.
It's in Perth.
In Perth, yeah.
All right.
Cheetahs Tars in Bloem.
The Cheetahs and Tars. Well, New South Wales have to win because that's probably their worst season ever. And I'll just read in the paper there that the CEO's come out and defended the coach Foley after 1 year. So everyone's on the New South Wales. They are the biggest province in Australia, and we play the worst rugby, so it's not great. But I can't see the Cheetahs. I don't know. I think they're disarray at the moment. They're struggling. They haven't got that confidence they had about 5 weeks ago when they used to win everything. So I think New South Wales will beat them.
He's wearing his Tars colours, so he has to go.
No, it's not. It's not really. It's
it's the right colour.
Yeah.
And Darren's wearing his Sharks colours for the Sharks Stormers game. What do you think?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly, Darren.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Who's the referee?
That's a good question,
I
actually.
don't know yet.
Well, I think sometimes it's going to depend on the referee too.
I will put money down it's Mark Lawrence. I've just got a sneaky feeling.
But then the Stormers by lots.
No, well, that's right, exactly. If Kaplan's referee, you go for the Stormers as well. He doesn't go well for Sharks, even though he's from Durban. Stormers, Sharks by 2.
I thought Jonathan had a good game this weekend.
Did he?
Yeah, I thought he had a very good game this weekend.
We were chatting earlier. We saw a tweet by Dan Retief and something to do with Craig Joubert in the Stormers Tars game. Did you pick anything up there?
I did talk. I remember when he said to Rocky Elsom, he said something. What did he say to him?
Oh, yes, he said something about, I know he was talking to someone who said, I can hear you, shut up. He kept shouting at Rocky Elsom to eventually say stop, but I think he was actually talking to someone talking over his earpiece from the control room. So obviously they'd left his thing open, and he was telling them to shut up. I don't think he was shouting at a player there. So, yeah.
But he was speaking to Rocky Elsom because I whinging about over the ball, and he said, look, shut up. Did he say shut up? He said, just get on with the game because you did exactly the same down the other end of the field or something.
I know exactly what it was. Is like, if you don't want to give it, because he said something about giving too many penalties. What he says, we don't want to be giving him more penalties. Play the game according to the laws.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he was really annoyed as well.
Yeah.
Because you could see his look. And now, Darren, what were these new laws they're going to come in with the TMOs? Are they allowing them to have more freedom? Or?
Absolutely. I mean, you can basically, they're going to allow challenges on the field, which is something I think we were discussing earlier. So captains will be allowed to challenge decisions. You can send it up to the TMO, and the TMO's jurisdiction is now not just the try-line area. So I think it's, I personally think it's very positive because you'll get more accurate results in games.
Well, what's it? But look, the thing is, I think it's great because there's been a lot of tries, I think, in the modern era that, in the old days, because you didn't have the video, there would have been tries. But because of the TMO and all that, I mean, it has helped. The linesmen still have just got, I mean, I can't believe how many forward passes there were on the weekend and not one linesman picked any forward passes up. So can TMO pick up a forward pass as well?
Yes, he's allowed to talk to the referee and point it out to him, but the captain is also allowed. Now, let's take ourselves back to 2007, David. Yeah. Can you imagine then that final move, Steve Walsh, blind as a bat, captain, and this is the scenario. If John Smith decides that he wants to challenge, or John wasn't on the field then actually, you guys had hauled John off in that final, right? So who was captain at that time? Was it Bob?
In 2007.
Yeah.
When they won the World Cup.
Super Rugby final.
I'm sure.
Oh, Super Rugby final, yeah.
Who was captain?
John was on the field.
John came off for the last few minutes. Bob, I think whoever was captain.
I think it was John.
I don't think
John was there.
Was he on the field at the end there?
Yep.
Okay, just say that scenario, that last movement where Brian scores.
Yep.
John's allowed to challenge that move. The TMO would be able to make a call on whatever the challenge was. In other words, to say we believe that there was hands in the ruck, or there was this, there was that. There's a perfect example where it could change an outcome of an entire tournament.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, do you want to? How many challenges can a captain do during a game? Because you don't want it every 5 seconds stopping and starting. And
you get one challenge per game, and if your challenge is upheld, in other words, you were correct, you keep your challenge. If it was wrong, you lose it. So captains will be a little more circumspect about just wildly challenging a move. I mean, it can be something as simple as a forward pass, and I think about was it a Currie Cup final, Free State against Province, where that forward pass to Helgard Muller, or from Helgard Muller. Big debate about that. That's something they'd be able to challenge. You think about how many tournaments would be changed or results based on that kind of scenario.
Well, it's about time, but I think again, it's we just want to get the game. All they've got to do is fix up the ruck rule, and then it wouldn't be any challenges because that's the mess. You could challenge every ruck if you like.
Yeah. But with one challenge, you'd be very circumspect. You wouldn't want to waste it early in a game, and then suddenly later on you haven't got any to use.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. I mean, it's going to be tough, eh?
Yeah, I think captains are still going to have to be very careful about what they do and don't challenge. And they'll probably find they'll be using them in very, very key, crucial situations as opposed to just a standard forward pass or something that happened in the middle of the field. It's going to be interesting. Games will probably end up going 90 minutes now, as opposed to 80.
It'll be like this game of soccer, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Johnny?
Johnny?
Just to Jonathan Kaplan, said it's Jaco Paper who's the ref on Saturday.
Oh, Jaco Paper.
Jaco Paper, yes.
All right, Stormers by 38.
Is that right? Is it okay?
I didn't ask him that.
I don't think I've seen a game. No, never mind. I'm not going there.
Now, Darren,
Yes.
Darren, next week,
Yeah.
next Monday, I'm actually off to Zimbabwe on Saturday.
When you back?
I'm actually up there, so I'll take my computer with me, so you'll be able to Skype.
Are you back by Tuesday?
No. No, I'm going up there for a week. I'm helping out the Zimbabwean under 21 championship team to go up to their Salt Lake City championship.
Cool. All right.
So I'm taking my little iPad 2. It's got Skype, so you can still Skype.
Fantastic. We look forward to that. So whereabouts are you going to be in Zim?
Haven't told me yet. Probably Harare.
All right.
The
Well,
national side, yeah.
nice to get a look at Zim while you're up there. That'll be great, David. We'll catch up with you. We were going to say we're actually at the Shark Tank at the Mr. Price Kings Park next Tuesday, doing a live broadcast from there.
Oh,
we
well,
were
thanks for
hoping you'd be able to join us, but you're going to be up in Zim. So
I'll be up there. I'm still available.
No problem. Next week, Monday, we will chat to you again on the flush out just after 5 o'clock. Travel safe, David. Nice to chat to you again as always.
Thanks, mate.
Speak to you next week. Cheers, man. Bye-bye. There we go. David Campese on the flush out today. Some interesting comments there.
Always good value.
Always good value. And look out for another one again next Monday. Next Tuesday, we're live from the Shark Tank. We'll be catching up with a lot of the local players, the Sharks players, and people there as well. In the aftermath of that big game against the Stormers. That's live from Mr. Price Kings Park next Tuesday.